So be sure that all of you guys send a note to the info at Lotus Guide so that could be listed. So it makes for more resources.
Yeah, and I'd like to say to Mimi, if you ever want some editorial space, let me know.
Yeah, good. I'm sure we will.
Yeah, face to face. Our YouTube channel is really, going crazy.
Great.
We do these interviews like with David Icke and all these people. If you go to youtube.com/Lotus Guide, you'll see some interesting interviews. One with Foster Gamble, with David Icke and Sheldon Neidl. All these people are like, they're out there over the horizon looking further than a lot of us can see because they're so...
I just wanted to express in particular a point that you were making that I thought was really great about finding a way to show these projects, show the heroes, show what we can do, and catapult that on a stage where more people can see it as a way of generating social change. I think that's great, and a database is a great way to do that. I've been involved for the last 2 years with a nonprofit project called Pick Up America, where some friends and I from Maryland started at the coast of our home state and started picking up litter and walking across the country, building solidarity, building unity with people for cleaning up the earth and restoring our democracy, both hand in hand. And this has been something that we have met so many people who are about this and want to see this happen all across. So I want to let you all know that too, but also in pockets like Chico, it is more conscious. So somehow it's important that we find our brothers and sisters that need this support in other parts of the country and are able to provide them with it in terms of documenting these lives.
In the credential program at the university, and about 4 years ago I decided to start my own school. And my goal was to try to figure out how to make it a school where I had hoped it could be like, PBS radio, and where public radio and public television, where you could find people to sponsor so that the students wouldn't have to pay. But I started it in the fall of 2008, and even though I'm a nonprofit, it's been really difficult to get people to fund us. But the main thing, I got to the point where I was going into classrooms all the way from Gridley to Willows, kindergarten through 12th grade on a daily basis, and I got to the point where I couldn't handle the way that the teachers talked to each other, or the way the teachers talked to the students, or the way the students talked to each other anymore. And I'd been in education for 30 years, and at 19 I decided I was going to be a teacher because I was going to change the system and make it different from the one I went through. And I just finally came to the decision that I wasn't.
Sorry.
It's the kids.
It's the kids.
It's the kids.
How perfect is that?
Yeah, it's perfect.
My life every day. So I have a school where you don't have to be compliant, and our main goal is not about compliance. That we really nurture non-compliance. We want our kids to tell us how they feel about things. We want them to be able to question and to speak up and have
This is
their
part of the indoctrination process of giving kids an answer before they ask a question. If you skip that part, there's a neurological bypass that comes there, and you're disconnected with the process of research and adventure. If you're just given an answer. The danger, I ran into this when I was writing my book, the danger of beliefs is prematurely giving somebody, like if you all came here and you were all like starving and hungry, what good is it going to do if I show you bunches of pictures of food from a cookbook? But that's exactly what I asked me here a while back, what do we do? And I really don't know what we do, but I know what we have to be. We have to be awake. Because I really think that if we fight any of this on their level, it's like Einstein saying that you're never going to come up with the solutions from the same level that created the problems. We need to rise our consciousness, and that is an individual effort on all of our parts, connecting and tuning into these higher frequency vibrations that are coming through, and I see people waking up. I see it, I feel it. I feel something in my chest area waking up. I feel a new sensation over the past couple years. And without that, we're not going to get the right answers. Because our brains, the smarter we get, the bigger our bombs get. Forget being more intelligent. We have to be more spiritual and more awake and more conscious to figure this
My
out.
contribution is the meditation. That this meditation was created for my teacher in the late 60s. It's a meditation. Are you always here to the meditation? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this meditation is to release, was made for the Western people, for the modern men, I would say. Because all that meditation was created 2,000, 4,000 years ago. So I think if we all have meditations that rise our consciousness.
Dara, I guess about, it's almost 5 years ago now, and I began taking her classes. And I had been a student of metaphysics and spirituality for about 25, 30 years, and had explored a lot of disciplines, and as most people, I'm sure everyone in this room, realized how to connect. But there was a critical piece that was missing. And when I came to Dara, I didn't even know I was missing it. And as usually, right, when something's missing, you don't know you're missing it. And it was really the connection with the body. And so, you know, one of the things, because we're a threefold being, and when we begin the spiritual path, many times we get really locked into the mental body, the Buddhic bodies, and we get, got all these non-material bodies. But really, what I've learned in this meditation with Dara is that, and I knew this intuitively, is that once we contact the higher frequencies of the higher self, then our mission is to live it. And the only way to do that is bring it through. And so that's what I learned from Dara, and that's how we began our journey together in my supporting her through the music. And it took us 2 years to do that CD. I'd take her all these songs, she'd go, well, I don't know about that, I don't know about that. And then finally she'd say, that's it. So the message is, whole being. The message is, be here now. The solution in the movie was, there were certainly a lot of worldly things to do, but at the end of the day, he said, tune in, right? But we're not going to drop out.
Unite, because, they may be gutting the Constitution, but the Constitution is still there.
Yeah.
And if enough people can unite and say, whatever you did to it, that doesn't stand anymore, this is what it is, and this is what it shall be, then that's what it will be. But the only way we can do that is to unite, and that's why I see the Occupy movement. I'm a sociologist, and I've been studying social movements for 30 years, and for me, it's I can't even believe that it's happening that fast, and that they're connecting the dots in the way that they're connecting them. It took me 30 years. And they're connected, and they're full on, and it's worldwide, and this is where our salvation lies, and it's with each other, and it's with numbers alive.
You guys have no rights. Nobody has any rights. Sitting on one's butt and waiting for rights to come from the heavens is ludicrous. And waiting for Big Brother, who wants your obedience and your work and your life, to give you rights, is ludicrous. You have right because somebody else feels that they have duty towards you, honest duty. They really believe that they have a duty to give you something. They giving you something becomes your right. You giving them your duty becomes their right. So I think it's critical to realize that we have to live in an environment, if we are, and it's historical, it's not just now because we have hyper merchants running the show. We could have hyper religious crooks running the show, or hyper military brutes running the show. It's the same thing. They want people to business.
What can I do as part of it? I've tried a couple of times, and a lot of people get groups together and talk, but sometimes that's intimidating. You mentioned spread the film around, and the film itself has, if you have a computer, you can download it and for $5.
Yeah.
So get your neighbors together, sit in a room and have a night where you just have them watch the movie. Download for $5 is cheaper than renting a movie or buying the DVD. And just have a dog after the movie.
Take nothing for granted right now. We have to take action.
Thank you.
Well, along those lines, it seems to me that, you can't just do this once and then go home and watch TV and get back into the thing. I mean, like the daily life, my own personal daily life is certainly not centered around being around a lot of people that I don't know and talking about something that seems to be, it's not so much if it's gonna happen, it's almost like when it's gonna happen, when some type of a shift is gonna happen, and whether or not that shift is gonna be catastrophic and people are really gonna be suffering a lot, or whether it's gonna be a kind of shift where we've known that it's coming and we're prepared for it, and we can take it more as a bump instead of as something like, falling off the edge. I don't know how much everybody else would feel about maybe getting together again or doing something along those lines, because it seems to me like, that's the only way to really kind of like become some type of a force as far as being together, like you're talking about, is that you're going to have to know who these people are and who our neighbors are, and perhaps bring a friend or whatever, because we're part of the change, right? And it's not going to be the rugged individual that's going to stand.
What we're talking about, Mark, is feminine energy, and that's sort of what's moving into our realms and dismantling patriarchal, rigid organizations. And feminine energy is subtle, but I tell you, if you've ever worked with a woman, like moving, man, we can lift really heavy weights 3 or 4 times, but women, they can lift like 20 pounds, like for hours and hours and hours and hours. And that energy is a subtle push, and you don't even realize it until you're into that realm where it's pushing you, where male energy is like, pow, And I think more that we open up to that and find that feminine energy inside ourselves, we'll feel that push into this new realm, and it'll be comfortable for us if we're in tune with it. But anything that's rigid, it's going to break. Anything that's male and masculine to that old paradigm, it's going to break. The first thing that we seen that broke was Russia. It was so rigid and so hard, so crystallized, that it couldn't stand this energy as it kept moving in. The Berlin Wall, it broke. And we need to be careful, because we can't hold on to those old paradigms. We need to bend and go with this new energy.